Welcome, 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 family. Once again, you have returned to another episode of Walking with the Master. This podcast is dedicated to our teacher, Dr. Moses Powell, also known as Musa Muhammad. And let me tell you, this is always exciting. I have two guests on, and I'm saying guests very lightly because they are family. You know, I always welcome family up in the house. Well, these guests that I have are very different in a number of ways, and I want to share that, and we're going to get into that. But let me introduce them to you. First of all, I am Grandmaster Abdul Aziz Muhammad, also known as Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad. And this show is called Walking with the Master. And the masters that we have here today are Shehan Damian McLeod. Ush, my brother, how you doing?
Us. Peace, Grandmaster. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's wonderful to have you. And I have also here Professor Joaquin Jackson, another beautiful brother. Ush, how you doing, sir?
Thank you, Grandmaster. Thank you, brother. I'm wonderful.
You're very welcome.
By God's grace.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I'm excited to have you two on. And again, this is Doc's family here. These are all children of Doc, you know, coming through the first line and directly right into them. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce them and begin our conversation, because you know this is going to be a great one. And you martial artists out there, I want you to take notice and listen to the beauty that we're going to be talking about and sharing with you all as it relates to this. Now, before we go any further, I mean, we gotta say Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Listen, and we're going to have some conversation about how we can make your Mother's Day and really your life a lot easier through some of the things that they're going to share with us. So first, I want to go into what we normally go into in terms of you all, and we're going to go from one to the next, and want to get a little idea of your lineage. Where did you start? What was it that you studied that brought you into the art, and how did you get in touch with Sanukis? All right. Who would like to begin? Would you like to start off, Shehan Damian?
Yes, sir. So I was started in 1993. A friend of mine, a mutual friend of ours, lived in the neighborhood, and we played basketball together. And he also studied jiu-jitsu. So every time we see him on the court, he's like, "Hey, come on down, train." I was like, "No, that's all right." Every time, "Come on down, train." I was like, "No, that's all right." Eventually, I gave in. I was like, "Oh, let me take some classes." He knew yourself, and he brought me down with Worlds Collide in I think late '93, and I was ever since then. I was traveling back and forth from the Bronx to Worlds Collide and Flatbush Ave.
That's right. That's right. And Professor Joaquin?
Yes, sir. I was studying Aikido, and Brother Lemio brought you to our dojo when you had just first came to Chicago. And then you had given out a flyer because Doc was coming. And so we started training. My own Aikido instructor, Sensei Garrett Hawkins, and I and his son started come training with you. And then when Doc came to town for that seminar, we came to the seminar. He met my Aikido teacher, and my Aikido teacher gave me the blessings to come train with you. And he said, "Bring it back." And that was 95 when you came to Chicago.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Shehan, and so you and absolutely, you continue coming constantly. You haven't stopped yet. You know, we tried to get rid of you a couple times, but No, not at all. You were absolutely fantastic and a wonderful student, and you've been committed all through that this time. So that's really a blessing for you. But let me ask you your relationship or your relationship or your connection with Doc. Tell me, how did that begin, Shihan?
So as you know, GM, Doc taught the Blackboard classes on Sundays. When I got there, I think I was a green belt at the time, or so I wasn't privy to that. But Doc was there, and he taught other times. I was able to get on the mat and experience him, and I was kind of under the tutelage of my current instructor, Grandmaster Bill. But at that time, we had so many fantastic instructors at the school. Shion Battle, Sensei Osei, just Soki Littlejohn on every Wednesday. So we had a rotation of most fantastic instructors available, including yourself. So when I had the opportunity, I got on the mat when Doc taught, and to him, I was Red. That was his nickname, Red. So I think I got familiar with Doc just by being around the dojo and going to other seminars that he was teaching. Grandmaster Bill said, "Hey, Doc is teaching at such and such a school." We roll into the seminar, and I would always uki for GM Bill or someone else. So I kind of got to know him through that way. And when I describe my relationship with Doc, I was kind of privileged to be around him. But I always say I'm kind of second or third generation. Unlike yourself and Grandmaster Bill, your first generation, where you studied and trained directly under Doc. I never portray myself that way. I was just fortunate enough to be at the seminars. So I make that distinction, say I'm not a direct student of Doc. I was just fortunate enough to be around him at the seminars. I came kind of another generation. So I was like, behind GM Bill,
Yeah, but I have to say, I agree with you, but I have to say that Doc lived at the dojo. He sat there. See, so you got what others didn't get, which was the personal Doc. The Doc sitting in the chair over on the side.
Yes, sir.
and different things. So it's a little bit different from altogether from what you were just saying. So Professor Joaquim, how about yourself, as it relates to your being introduced to Doc himself? When did that start? How was that?
Well, actually, one of the brothers in the Aikido class gave me a tape. It was a VHS tape. And actually, I've given it to Steve to kind of fix it for me. But I was looking at the tape, and I see this huge man do a rollout with one finger. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at this awesomeness, and I'm going, "Oh, I want to meet him." And I just left it at that. Then the universe did what it needed to do. You came to town, who's a direct in relationship to Doc. And then what I thought, what I heard, what I said came to full fruition. And from that point on, Doc would say to me at the seminar, he says, "You know what, after this is over, you can come on up to the room." And he says, "I like the way your students act. They're very respectful and all of that." And he says, "That is a direct result of how your teacher taught you." And I think it was in Bermuda. I did a Reiki session on Doc in Bermuda, and Miss Gina said, "Doc don't go to sleep around nobody." Doc would sleep when I did that Reiki session on him. He went to sleep. And so that was me just being a good student. That's what the student's supposed to do for his teacher, or any of those that are teachers in his system.
Yes,
so
sir.
that and I always looked at Doc in terms of, even though I read on old sensei in Aikido, but I never met him. But for me to see and spend time listening, learning from Doc was, you just can't even put a price tag on it. And you can't even put even words to combine it and just being in that atmosphere. It's so monumental in terms of, this is just not somebody. This is a legend.
Yes.
And you as Damien also mentioned, I got an opportunity to uke for Doc. If you got an opportunity to uke for Doc, you are also getting, and if you don't mind me using it this way, you were getting an anointing all at the same time. And everybody didn't get an opportunity to uke for Doc. And first of all, you had to be prepared to uke for Doc. And I think, and I really know that you prepared me to be able to handle what Doc would ever do to me based on what you did to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that. And, you brought up the thing that I wanted to get into, and we're gonna talk about that. Now, martial arts and martial artists, they study the art of pugilism. They study the art of destroying, breaking down, removing the threat. But there's another side to that coin, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And so I want you all to talk about the other side to that coin, which is the healing part.
Yes, sir.
Why should we, Shion, why should we, learn or study and or have someone perform on us and work on people to help heal them? Why that? Why did you all go into the healing aspect? And tell me a little bit about what you do.
Okay.
Professor, you going first, or?
No, I was gonna let you go first. I was gonna let you go first.
So how I came into the healing aspect, I was going to physical therapy after one of my knee surgeries. And one of the brothers who's also acupuncturist, who graduated from the same school I went to, Sensei Kazembe, he said, hey, the school I go to, Pacific College, they have a community clinic. Have you considered acupuncture in conjunction with your physical therapy for your knee? And I was like, no, I haven't, but I'm open to it. I'd like to see if it can help. So the community clinic, it was affordable. I didn't have insurance at the time. I was like, I wanted to certainly try it. And I started going to sessions there, and I was a little bit skeptical at first. I didn't know what to expect. And I found out over a period of time, I felt better. I was getting a little bit more range of motion, less inflammation. And I was like, okay, I don't know, couldn't really explain why or the mechanics behind that time, but I just kept going consistently. And this was kind of, I think, maybe back in 2009, 2008-ish, around there. And eventually I enrolled in school in 2010. But the influence was not just my injuries, but I've always been surrounded by people who were open to and have experience in alternative medicines. My instructor, Jan Bill, he'll tell you all the time, back in the 70s, he was going to acupuncture after someone told him about it. Sensei Bill Pierce is a massage therapist. So I was always in a circle of people who already understood the benefits and therapeutic healing of different modalities. So I had that influence around me. And when I started going to school and learning actual the mechanisms behind acupuncture and how it works and how it helps heal the body in a lot of different ways, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, I thought it was integral that in some way make this connection to martial arts. And not that everyone has to be an acupuncturist, be able to apply some of those principles into their training for themselves and for the benefits of the other students around them and their community as well, their family. You know, what can be shared from these principles of Chinese medicine for your own health? Because at the end of the day, my philosophy of martial arts is not just that we're training ourselves, but we also have responsibility for the large community, and that includes their health. You know, because we want to be around for a long time and have longevity, not just a long life, but a good quality of life.
Yes.
And part of that is, you know, a multi-modality approach, not just, you know, the physical exercise, but the medicine, the nutrition, what we think, that is part of our diet. You know, everything we're consuming, you know, on a physical and mental level is part of our diet. So I think it's just so important that we look at it as a lifestyle change, an approach of where I'm looking for is kind of a preemptive approach. So we're not just waiting for the worst case scenario to happen and say, okay, now I need to address this. How can we incorporate aspects of different medicines to address problems from much earlier on, before they become more problematic and need an invasive approach? You know, isn't it worth for ourselves to look at something early on, no matter what it is, a nagging pain, and start looking at it and addressing it, rather than say, you know, oh, I'm young, I'll deal with that later. Oh, it's not much, I'll deal with that later. Because then something small eventually is going to manifest into a bigger problem later on the line, which is going to require a heavy-handed approach in medicine, and we don't want that. So, you know, my phrase is, we're going to pay now, or we're going to pay later, but we're going to pay. You know, so let's pay on the front end.
Yes, sir.
Paying it, you will pay one way or another.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Professor Joaquin.
So I like what Brother Damien said. Go to the root, and I think maybe I was at a spiritual retreat, and it came to me why I actually probably even got involved in martial arts in the first place. I had lost my sister at an early age, and so I didn't understand that whole concept, and her leaving, and then my whole background is based on protection. I'm a Marine. It's about protection. But then there's another level that I come to understand, that the ability to be able to heal is just important as being able to protect. And so Sensei Hawkins said to me one day, he says, I want you to learn Shiatsu. And I said to him, what's that, Sensei? He says, now I want you to go find out what that is and start studying it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then all of us as martial arts have a plethora of movies that we have seen over the years. But if you look more in depth in any of those movies, the pillars of the community in all of those movies that were Chinese movies, rather, the pillar of the community was either herbologist, an acupuncturist, or some form of being able to heal. They were the pillar of the community. But even though they still had a martial arts background, but they were more apt to serve people and help them whatever illness they were having. And so I believe as you grow in the art and you learn how to disassemble 200 to 206 bones of the body, you need to also learn how to heal the body also, if nothing but yourself. And that's important. I think that's the apex of our training. If you got the black belt and you're still working through the ranks, but at what point have you taken the martial arts and also taking the healing arts as a part of it? So then as we mature in the age of the arts, 20, you fly out. 40, you do a little dive out, but you just don't go as far. But then when you're in your 70s and 80s, how can you still be able to do certain things without any ailments? And so that's the other part. And then what do you leave to the next lineage that's coming behind you?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well,
Mind, body, and spirit.
excellent. Yes, sir. So okay, if we do not study this aspect, what can be the problem? What can be the issues that we have if we do not engage in learning some aspect of healing?
Well, then you don't really know what is going on with you. And then you have to go to what is called an expert may say to tell you something that's wrong with your own body. You may agree or disagree. It may even be similar to the COVID. Just go take the shot, you'll be all right. But that may not be the answer. So if you learn how to and learn exactly how the body works, and actually the body was made to heal itself. That's why when a person goes in a coma, the body stops, slows down, and works on regenerification. But most people won't stop, slow down, and allow the body to totally heal itself. So they just keep going and say, well, I'll work past that. It'll get better, or I'll work on it later. And then, as brother said, either you pay now or you pay a whole lot more later on.
Yes, sir. What do you have to say about that, Shihan?
There are a lot of things that, or maladies that can happen to the body if they're not addressed early. Just off the bat, we all personally know some elders who've had joint replacements due to wear and tear, primarily osteoarthritis. And everybody's going to have, as we get older, to a certain degree, a level of osteoarthritis in the weight-bearing joints, the knees, hips, possibly other areas, but primarily those two as we get older. But if we can stave off or nourish the joints and keep these supporting structures functioning and engaged, then maybe we don't have to have a full joint replacement. I'm just using this as one example. Particularly what we do in jiu-jitsu, it's hard on the body. Some of the judo, we're doing a lot of throws. And how many times, we do a whole class, we kemi throw, we just get up, put on a gi, boom, go home, come back, do the next day. Mm-hmm. And you can get away with that when you're younger, but that just because you're 19, 20 doesn't mean that trauma just left with you on, let you stayed on the mat. No, it went with you. And
yes,
that accumulates over time. So if we're not addressing that early and often, the body's, there's a book called The Body's Keeping Score. And in fact, those injuries are being kept score on your body. It's just that you may not notice it until it gets to a certain degree of trauma later on, where you have a strained ligament or a tear in the cartilage. And we think, oh, yesterday, I did something and I pulled something. No, you pulled it actually months or years ago. It just now caught up with you.
Yes. Yes. So, okay, so let's go into some things now. We mentioned Mother's Day. I want to focus on the women. Are there particular things that you do? Let me ask you, Shihan, what are the particular aspects of study that you have done? Let me just ask you that first.
So within acupuncture, a couple of modalities. Within Chinese medicine, of course, I've studied acupuncture, but we also learn Tui Na, which is a form of therapeutic massage. Also incorporate cupping. And one of the things that I've been focusing on the last few years is physical assessment, which is a little bit more of a biomedical Western approach integrating with acupuncture, meaning if a person comes to me with a joint pain, I'm looking to see how that person moves, what muscles are supporting the joint, where the pain is at, because it may not just be, their shoulder hurts. It may be other structures that are connected to the shoulder. So in the past few years, I've been focusing on assessing the root of the problem and not just like, all right, it hurts here, that's what we're going to treat. What else is connected to that point of pain that we need to look at? So one of the things I've been focusing on is assessment of muscle and joint injury.
Okay. So acupuncture, an assessment of joint and muscle, you said?
Muscle, yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool. And Professor Joaquin, what do you do?
Shiatsu and Reiki, and I work on Tai Chi. The Reiki, I was introduced by Dr. Thomas and Dr. Chastain. So we had went and did the training for the Reiki 1 and 2. I only have Reiki 3 to do for the master level. And so I said once in a class, and there was another black belt in the class. He wasn't a direct black belt of mine. I said the same energy that you utilize to defend, break, snap is the same energy that you use to heal. He said he had never heard of that before. I'm like, so what do you think? What energy you think you're using? You ain't taking off one and putting on the other. It's just, in what way are you incorporating the energy to be utilized?
Okay. Okay. So when it comes to, as I was mentioning, the sisters, is there a particular focus when it comes to women? Is there any difference when you're working with women and men? Do you find in your particular area of expertise, is there any difference and in terms of how you manipulate or deal with them, is that different?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Women will be more transparent in telling you exactly what's wrong with them. Men will be, no, man, that's just an old injury from back in the day. Instead of just being transparent about what's really going on. And as Brother Damien said, sometimes they don't even know what's really going on because they don't know the root of what caused it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but a woman, she's going to tell you exactly because she wants to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to be helped. Men are more, just give me a Band-Aid and I'll work the rest out on my own.
So Shion, tell me, do you feel that that's, is that your experience as well with men and women?
There's certainly an overlap there. I'd say the percentage of my patients, maybe a little bit over 50% have been women. And they come to me for all kinds of conditions. But I found when, before I treat the patient, I speak to them. And to Professor Joaquin's point, I think the women by and large have been a little bit more expressive and detailed about the concerns. But one thing I noticed is that they'll offer information that are tangentially related to their condition, maybe stress at work or at home, that then I need to take into consideration how, even if they came with like neck and shoulder pain, okay, but they'll also divulge, hey, I've been at work really long, I'm stressed, or I'm having problems with a relationship. And it's my job to then say, how is that contributing or manifesting for them as physical pain or trauma? Or maybe they're having insomnia. So, sometimes the things people say, they're communicating to you about their condition, even in an indirect manner sometimes. So I find that they're a little bit more expressive and give you a little bit more rounded view of where they're currently at in their physical and emotional state that helps clue me in on how I can better help them.
Cool. Are there some things that you can share with our beautiful women that you know, if somebody had a headache, or are there things that we can do to ourselves? That they can do to help ease their situation? Is there anything when it comes to stressful situations at work or even at home that you would suggest that they can do to themselves in the interim or prior to getting with someone with some expertise? What would you say, Professor?
Well, I was looking at this some time ago, Grandmaster. Water was made for one thing, to serve us. It was created for that one thing, just to serve us, wash us up, hydrate our bodies, wash our clothes, add to our food. And as children are washed up by their parents in the initial stage, as they get older, normally what they told is, hurry up, go in there, take a bath or a shower and go to bed. It's a rush process. When they become adults and somebody say, hey man, it's Friday, man, come on, hang out. No, man, I can't do it. Why not? Man, I've been a long day at work. So what I'm about to do? What you gonna do then? Man, I'm going home and take me a long, hot bath. Something clicks in that if I get in the bathtub for an extended period of time, something's gonna happen to my body that's gonna be wonderful. So if a woman has a headache or any of that, go to what will help you. I think it's I know, it's the 23rd Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And he restores my soul. By what? Water. If you watch any of the things that people do in terms of self-development or awakening consciously, they're dealing with water. Standing in a waterfall, they get fresh ideas or divine ideas. So if someone is having some illnesses or some health challenges, one, take a hot bath. If you need to sprinkle some Epsom salt in it or something like that, do that for the joints. But the water will help you in order to rebalance the body. And if it can't help rebalance, it'll give you halfway there till you can get to an expert or a doctor.
If I could piggyback on Professor's points on the importance of water, a lot of us are chronically dehydrated. We just don't know it. Sometimes when we're hungry, it's actually hydration. If you have sore joints, dehydration will contribute to that. One of the things that I think we get wrong in Western culture in the intake of water is the temperature. In most restaurants you go to, they're going to bring you a cup of ice water. I mean, that's fine, in summertime it is cooling, but by nature, ice does what? Constrict. And if you have any digestive issues, that's not going to help you sit well. But if you go to a more traditional Asian restaurants, they're going to give you either room temperature or a cup of tea, because that actually aids in digestion. So, if those are issues that you're having, the first thing you do when you get up in the morning, get yourself some room temperature water, maybe put a little bit of honey in it, and have that before you have your tea or have any meals. Let that sit in your stomach for a little bit to help prep your GI tract, help you have a bowel movement and get your day going. And also, Professor Joaquin mentioned the Epsom salt. I recommend that to my patients all the time, especially for joint injuries. The magnesium is a critical component to the maintenance of the cell stability and cell wall. Sitting in there in a hot Epsom salt bath is very therapeutic for the joints and muscles. And if I could just mention one more tip, in today's society, we're always on the go and moving, and we accumulate a lot of stress. One way that we can help mitigate that is by our breathing, particularly in an acute stress situation. One form of Qigong breathing that I found helpful is some people call it box breathing, is to hold the inhale for 2-3 seconds and then the same amount of time for the exhale. So it'll be 2 or 3 inhale, 3 out, 4 seconds inhale, 4 out. And do that a few times, and that will help regulate your sympathetic nervous system to reduce the heart rate and calm you down.
Okay. Everybody out there, I want y'all to do this too. I want you to take me through take me through a little something. Take me through a breathing exercise,
Okay.
and let's just see. So we all can appreciate this, and we're gonna. This is our time to get a little relaxation in this podcast. All right. So come
Okay.
on, dude, help me out.
All right, so we're gonna breathe into the nose and bring it down to the pit of your stomach for a 3 count, and then slowly exhale on for a 3-second count. All right, and
Exhale, tell them where to exhale out of.
mouth. Yeah, don't inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Right. So bring it in for a 3 count into the pit of the stomach. And again, 3 count.
Right, don't go to sleep out there. Just enjoy. So and we would do this for what period of time?
You could do this in cycles of, for 4 or 5 cycles, and you should be able to feel with each cycle you're kind of getting the vasodilation, opening the arteries, slowing the heart rate. So if you want to do like 4 or 5 repetitions, that's sufficient. If you want to do more than that, that's fine. But this is something you could do on the bus, even while you're driving on your way to work, any kind of situation where you feel, you kind of need to regulate yourself.
Great. So sisters, listen, I want you to do some of this. Now that doesn't mean for those of us brothers, men, it's for all of us. We can all do this, and we have to do more. Professor, what would you have us do to demonstrate a technique that we can take with us right now?
So when you mention a headache, and Brother Damien can give you the exact name on it, but you can take your thumb and forefinger and touch the nerve within the forefinger and the thumb and do that same breathing method in through your nose, all the way down to your 1.2 inches below your navel, holding it, relaxing the shoulders. And then when you either get to 3 or 4 or 6 or 7, then when you release it, you slowly take your finger off of that. And you can do that about 3 times. Now, if a student tells me they came to class and they got a headache, I would grab that point and then I'll rub back here at the same time on the back of their neck, have them close their eyes, go through that breathing process and exhale like that. And after we've done it 3 times, then I'm asking for an offering.
Well, I think about, I'll tell you a story. And this was actually it was done with both Doc years ago and as a youngster, and then Soke a little later. I was still a youngster in that as well, but wasn't feeling all that good, wasn't feeling all that good. And I came to class and I just thought that, let me just let him know, how I felt, so maybe he would, he would understand that if I'm not all the way there and in it, he would just recognize and understand. Well, when I said, what it was that I was dealing with, where they went was, okay, all right, let's get it going, and amped the class up even more. So like when you saying grabbing, you would grab the neck and whatnot. They grabbed my neck too. Not a thing that they was massaging me like you was intended on them. So yesterday is a whole lot different
Yes, sir.
than today.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
and I'm just bringing that point out, and it doesn't mean that they didn't know, because they didn't know what they were doing. No, what it meant is that they were preparing us for real war.
Yes, sir.
They were preparing us for a situation, but this is a different kind of time period as relates to people.
Mhm.
And there's a lot more pressure on people in today's time, in my belief, in terms of pressure mentally, stressful pressure. We didn't have as much stress as present today.
Yes, sir.
In my humble opinion. What do you think? What do you think, Shihan?
I have to agree. I mean, it's not uncommon today for people to have 2 and 3 jobs. We spend at least 1 or 2 hour commuting. People's finances are probably tighter than ever, so we're not. When we do eat, is rarely sitting at the table, eating on the go in our car, and what we eat is, I can't even call it food. It's not really nutrients. So we're attacked under multiple things. We're not getting enough sleep because we're doing all those other things, and we just get up and do it again.
Hey, how about you, Professor?
Well, we mentioned diet earlier, and so some of our roots are based on the fact that we were able to create the food that we wanted to eat in terms of vegetables and all of that. We got it pretty much away from that, and then we have to understand that the attack on parenting. So now instead of 2 parents, it's single parent. So now, as I said to a little girl today, I said, when your mother come pick you up, how about you tell her thank you? Because she said to Sister Tanaya that my mama always sleeping.
Oh, Tania.
Tania, I said, well, your mother's always sleeping. I said, do you have any other brothers and sisters? She said, I got 3 more. I said, your mother's always sleeping because she's always trying to make sure you got a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food on the table, and shoes on your feet. So when she come pick you up today, how about you just tell her thank you? She's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. I said, it's because, as brother just mentioned, we're trying to work 2 or 3 jobs, keep a roof over our head, keep a level of sanity. But then in all of that, we're not doing anything for self. We're doing all of it, but we're not doing anything to keep this temple in proper form. And so then people end up having to go see Brother Damien because they didn't wore themselves out. Or then they're going to see a doctor who is giving them a Band-Aid, but not saying, you know what? Let's look at the root of what's really caused this. And so until we understand and how to deal with the root of the situation, we'll just keep going around in circles and circles and circles and hoping that something will eventually heal us. But if you don't get to the root of it, you're just touching the surface.
What would you say, what kind of advice would you give to instructors in this day and time about the healing science, or the science of healing? What would you suggest and say to those who have schools, whether they have schools or not? They may have a student, but what would you say to them to help them to receive some guidance as it relates to the healing science?
Well, one, read about the history of martial arts. The second part is, it says, my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And the knowledge is for self, but the knowledge cannot be directly for self, because the wealthiest place on the face of the earth globally is a cemetery.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of people got a whole lot of knowledge, but they never passed it on. So when you get the knowledge, it is for you to pass on to the next generation. And this is basically how our history at one particular time was passed on. It was verbal. But now that we have all of this new technology and so on and so forth that's available to us, let's lift our consciousness. And so that now that we come with not only the physical aspect, but the mental and the spiritual portion of it, so that we can have a well-rounded program to give. And piggybacking on the fact that you have Brother Damien said he had 80% women, and I can rest assured that out of that 80%, 60% of them may be single parent moms. So if they don't have a way to be able to dilute the stress, the strain that's happening to them, to their lives, they're shortening their own lives. And so even in the martial arts, you have predominantly women bringing their sons to the class. Just in school, at one particular time, you could be in a classroom, and if it's 30 children in the classroom, 30 children, pretty much 28 of the children out of the 30 had the same basic background. Now, you got 30 children in the classroom, you got 30 different ways these children are being raised. Mm. So if you don't, if the healing part is not just always that you trying to fix something in the person just need to know that they special. That right there can change their mindset and change their life.
So Joaquin, I think that was really key on touching on that aspect of making the connection, a personal connection with the student, knowing that you're there for them. And I think the instructors owe it to the students to provide them instruction, not just in the martial arts, but their overall well-being, and to be a role model for health. I mean, part of what we're doing is maintaining ourselves, but is the instructor in shape? Are they eating right? Are they the best version of themselves that the other people around the students should be emulating? You know, we can't preach about health and we're in poor health. You know, if the instructor is going outside and taking a cigarette break, what does that say about how he regards him or her regards their own health? If they're, you know, over 100 pounds of own weight, it's hard for someone else to look at them and say, you know, that's what I want to achieve and be like. So first of all, be, you know, that example that you want to impart to your students. Aside from that, I would encourage all instructors to start taking courses or learning at the very minimum first aid. But, you know, like Brother Joaquin took upon himself to embark on the study of other medicines. I would encourage them to do that, you know, whether it be a massage or acupuncture or Reiki, anything that they can then bring back and share with their students, because the better they are in health, it makes sense business-wise, because you actually build a healthy community that look forward to coming there and know that you're building yourself up and bringing them back the information for their well-being.
Yes, sir.
They know you care.
So let me say this to you, Grandmaster.
Yes, sir.
I have to say it publicly so you'll know, I didn't know about Ramadan until I started studying with you. And so this past Ramadan, I seen some numbers on the scale I hadn't seen in a while. You know, 185. I'm usually about 192 or something like that. I don't go over 200. But when I saw 185, I was like, all right. And my body feels fantastic. But see, once again, that's the mind, body, and the spirit. And so if we don't do that, then, and being a Christian minister, I say to my Christian folks, even if you take some of what the Nation of Islam does, it's going to help you. If you go and do, I say the body needs to rest sometimes. And if you allow the body to rest, then the body can do what it was created to do And that was to be able to heal itself and then put you back out there in a matter of time. But if you don't do it, you run it. It's like, you know, you got a flat tire, but if you keep rolling on a flat tire until you can find it to get fixed, you're gonna start messing up the rim. Then you mess up the rims. Then you mess up the shocks. Then if you mess up the shocks, then now you done broke off one of the knobs on the tire. That's the same thing that happens to the body. Let me just keep running it. And then when you run it down, it don't always, and especially the more mature we become, the more you run it down, it just don't jump back like a rubber band as quickly as it used to.
I'm really very appreciative of the conversation that we're having right now, because one, as you know, Professor Joaquin, you work on me.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate that because it's just beneficial to me, and I know I need it. So
Yes,
I appreciate getting it done. And you know, I'm the one who will do various massage therapy and some manipulation in certain ways, in a very, very limited way. But I learned those things back in the 70s when a chiropractor, or I should say the chiropractor's son, was a student of mine in New York City Technical College when I had a club there. And everything he did to me, whenever anyone does anything to me, I then look and assess it so that I can help somebody else with whatever helps me.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, so I would do that, and I've been that one in a number of different areas at times to do those things. Now, I appreciate you all because you all have gone into deeper study of the, you know, this aspect in which you have studied, where you have a greater knowledge, and I appreciate that. And I have to enhance that. My wife, she is really someone who has desired to do this as a part of her, you know, one of her dreams is to do that. I don't want to say a dream, her desires is to do that and study in school or in some course to go through these things. And we got to make that happen for her so that she can help me as much as I need.
Well, you know, Grandmaster, the Jesus washes the feet of the disciples, and he says the greatest amongst you is to serve.
That's right.
And when you're working on somebody, the one thing that I've learned through the course of doing all of this, it's not me. I'm just a vessel in which this is coming through to help the person that's receiving. And by doing so, you're being the servant of the Most High when you do that. And when you specialize in it with a needle, you're doing the work of the Creator that sent you. And that if you're working on somebody that's, Brother Damien, if you're working on somebody that's 80 years old, I can rest assured we can go back and have a conversation with them and say, how long you been praying for some help on this? They'll tell you 10, 20, 30 years. And guess what? When you showed up one way, but he already created you based on what age you are now. So he answered that prayer long time ago, but then you had to go through the process. I had to go through the process. So then when it became so urgent for him, he still showed up. It says he never shows up probably when you want him, but he's never late.
Right. That's right. That's right. Always on time.
Always on time.
That's what you need. Yes, sir.
Jim, if I could share something that I was at a seminar a few months ago, and I think it's relevant to what the Professor said. I was a seminar for neuroscience and acupuncture, and the instructor, extremely well studied, is an acupuncturist and a neuroscientist. And even he said, one of his instructors told him, no matter how technically good you are, no matter how academically accomplished you are, the outcome of your treatment will always be enhanced by your intention. And that really stuck with me about being present and manifesting that goodwill towards your patient, your client, is just going to enhance what you're doing already.
You know, that's you bring up a point also. Do you have to, as a person who is looking for treatment, do you have to determine, or is it good or best for you to look into who it is that is doing your treatment? Because can someone that doesn't have a good spirit or doesn't have good intention, can it cause you trouble?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Remember, energy is not created nor destroyed, but that transmission of energy can have a negative effect on you. So you notice anytime, I don't touch everybody. I don't touch everybody. But you notice that if I'm about to do something and to be of assistance to someone, I prefer to listen to the meditation music or gospel music while I'm working on a person, so that my mind stays on the right and don't become distracted by the stuff that's around or something of that nature.
How about you, Shihan?
So I usually get some kind of information from my patients before their appointment. They'll send me an email, and I have like a form that they fill out, and it says what they're coming in for, medical history. Sometimes it's detailed, sometimes it's not. But regardless, when I first meet them, I take notes and I'm listening to them. And even though I'm listening to them, I'm also kind of grounding myself and trying to be more in tune with them, and I guess put myself in a state to be the as Professor Joaquin said, the conduit of healing and good energy for them. You know, so the treatment essentially started before I even put needles in.
Yes.
Because the more relaxed and confident and at peace I can be with someone, they feel that, you know. And once they're on the table, they're at ease, their sympathetic nervous system is relaxed, and they're more apt to receive a better treatment and outcome because we have established a connection without even any physical parameters being broken down.
Awesome. Man, we get some gems out of this today. I really, really appreciate it. And again, everybody that's listening, take advantage of it and choose to find someone to be treated. And listen, this is your day. You know, this is your day, but every day is your day.
Yes, sir.
Every day is a part of the rest of your life, and how we treat ourselves today is going to let us know how we're going to feel tomorrow. So it's important for us to do that and whatnot, you know. So I'll open up and give you all an opportunity to share something lastly, because we're going to have to come back again now. I know we need to talk about specific injuries and how do you handle that, and we don't have the time today, but I want to bring you all back because, you know, okay, we have issues, chronic shoulder trouble, you know, we you know, shoulder and neck issues, you know, back issues, you know, leg or joint issues. So these things are, I'm pretty sure they're consistent with us. You know, there's heart troubles that we have that may result from one thing or another. And I want to know how you assess that, and how do you move from something that's said to a whole nother place because of how you're able to determine, you know, where something else. You're able to go down a line of questioning and or touching that can help you and guide you all the way to a whole nother area that they say, man, and my wife has said it with myself or someone else, that when I touch them, when I touch and I'm working an area, something will take me somewhere else. And then they say, I didn't even know that I had trouble there.
Mm-hmm.
I know you both heard that before, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So anyway, again, I want you to kind of share a last point that you want to get across to everybody, and we're gonna set up another time for you to come on back and make us feel good. All right. So, Shion, would you like to start? And we're gonna close with Professor Joaquin.
Yes, sir. My personal motto for my practice and myself is solutions are the accumulation of small actions. And it applies to acupuncture and kind of everything we do in our life. So, whatever challenge you have with your health, it may be seem monumental, but start doing small things, but consistently each day. Maybe eat a little better, sleep a little bit better, go for your morning walk. Those little things are going to improve your health over time. So don't think you can have to revamp everything about yourself in the course of a day of a week. Just take on those small challenges and feel good about yourself that you're doing them regularly.
Nice. Beautiful. Professor?
Well, thank you, Brother Damien, for that word, monumental. I was working on that earlier. But,
yes, sir.
But one of the things that will help everybody, just be grateful for what you already got. That reduces a whole lot of stress right then and there. Just be grateful for what you already got. And then there's a passage that says, meditate on this both day and night. If you meditate on being on good health, mind, body, and spirit, both day and night, with a sense of gratitude, the universe will do what it needs to do to put the right people around you, the situation and circumstances, so that can become your reality. But if you're fighting and chasing after things, if you run the block from one end to the other, at some point, you're gonna get a little bit tired. And then you're gonna have to figure out, okay, do I need to keep running, or can I just walk and still get to the same goal? And so when we learn how to take care of the temple that is excellent, it's the best condominium, it's the best mansion on the face of the earth. And if it get a crack in it, you can get it fixed. If it get broken, you can get it fixed. But you have to start in your mind first to ensure that you take care of the rest of the body. If the roof got a hole in it, it's gonna mess up the rest of the house. But if you make sure you take care of that, you can keep everything that's up under it in good fashion, looking good, and feeling good. And it's so important that we take care of our minds, our bodies, and our spirit. But if we take care of our spirit first, it would take care of our mind and surely our body.
Awesome. Shion, is your practice, is there some information that someone can find you by going to? Is there any information?
Yes, my practice is dmacupuncture.nyc.
Repeat it again, please.
D as in David, M as in Michael, acupuncture.nyc. And if any of the brothers and sisters are ever in Brooklyn, New York, I do acupuncture at the dojo every Sunday. So they're more than welcome to stop by.
Excellent.
Professor Joaquin, is there anything in particular or information that you want to share with the audience?
If you're practicing martial arts and you're practicing it to move past just Shodan, the first degree, I highly recommend that you make the healing art a part of your practice. And if you want to find me, you will find me either Tuesday, Thursday, with GM.
Was. All right. And he'll probably be working on me.
Yes,
So get in line. Oh man, well thank you both for
No, you Grandmaster.
Thank you, GM. Thank you.
that. You know, that was a healing in itself, just a conversation. And I'm looking forward to more. And also we're going to have an event that's coming up in July.
Yes, sir.
Totally is going to be, man, it's going to be a fantastic event. And I want to invite you, Shion, I know you're coming anyway, but I want to invite your practice so that we can have some things going on. We're going to have a whole health fest, if you will, where we'll have each of you in areas where you'll be able to treat those who are coming, you know, and set up whatever is necessary as it relates to that. I know you're going to be on the mat, but
Yes, sir.
many are going to also want you to be on them. So we're going to work all of that out. And so come prepared for that. All right.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to it.
Man, so listen, family, here we go again. See, it was another episode of Walking with the Master. And you got to understand that walking with the Master is going to take you places that maybe you have not gone, but maybe places where you would like to go. So this is an area and a direction that we should begin to emphasize more in our own life. And that is the study of the healing arts, even though you may have the killing arts.
Yes,
All right. Well, thank you very much, family. Make sure that you subscribe. Continue subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday. And once again, let's give them the Happy Mother's Day, y'all. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, brothers. Us. Love y'all, man.
Love you too, sir.
Every student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. But you start by having an object in front of you that you admire.